have a new brochure. There should be one on each of your tables. It talks about the registry. As Michelle said, I come from registries. I have 3 kids, but my first baby was the Gaucher Registry, and now this is another one. So I can't say enough how powerful the registries are. You guys have been here for a few days. You've heard Dr. Grunwald just talk about following up after surgery to get information, how helpful that is. The registries can do that. Dr. Pignola was saying something the other day, I think, in response to questions about what happens in puberty, what about menopause. The registry can answer that, but we need each of you to put that information in. So I'm going to talk about what's going on with the registry. How many have had a chance to enroll yet? Just because it'll help me know how much there's some information about what that looks like. So, all right, so you'll see a few slides that kind of show when you go to enroll in the registry what that's going to look like. And you know, if you get stuck, there's lots of people to help. It's not hard. It takes some time, but it's going to be so, so important. And even with the clinical trials, I want to make sure people understand, as study goes on, patients and their family can still put their data in the registry. We won't collect the medical information in the registry during the clinical trial, that part, but after the trials and when products are finally approved and there's treatments, that's when the registries can really kick into gear and we can learn a whole lot more about what's happening with certain treatments. So doing your part, we so far have put the registry into 7 different languages. We'll continue that process to have translations so we can get a wider net out there of people feeling comfortable and navigating that website. It is voluntary. We hope you'll think about it. And if you decide it's not for you, you can just stop. It's not a problem. The information in there is password protected, and we take that very seriously. We work with a company called Digital Infusion. They work on a lot of registries too. They're the group that put together some of the registries I've worked with in the past. So they really know what they're doing. And we do ask for your name and your contact information, so we have the opportunity to follow up if we do have a question. But very few people have that. It's mostly you get a nice FOP Registry ID number. So in addition to your name and where you're from, it collects information about when you were diagnosed, when your symptoms started, what else is going on, what other conditions. And this really helps us understand more, is this unique to you or is this maybe a little more common with people that have FOP? And there's 3 questionnaires. One of them asks about some of the devices that you use. Other things ask about how are you feeling? How, you know, we heard about depression. Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling like you do your social activities? And all that stuff's really helpful to kind of, because it's part of the whole picture of the patient. So this is something that currently you can do on your laptop or your iPad at home. But starting in February, we'll have an app for your phone. So we have understood that, you know, we have a lot of things competing for our time, but once you'll have that phone app, you can kind of chip away at it. When you first enroll, it might take probably closer to an hour or a little bit more, depending on how much information in your history. And then the updates will go more quickly. And again, having it on your phone, you can kind of chip away at it. But again, it's really important, and we hope you'll take the time and kind of find a place on your calendar when you can do those updates for us. So with this information, as I mentioned, the physicians like Dr. Pignola and Dr. Kaplan, they can come and ask questions of the registry. And some of the folks who are planning clinical trials, they've asked questions. where are patients located, what do they look like, what are their age ranges, and these are things that the registry can help with. We don't give names though, we just give basic information. So again, protecting your identity, but still providing really helpful information. So we've covered that. This is just a quote from Dr. Kaplan. I think it's on the brochure too, just saying how important collectively the registry can be in this body of information. There has been one publication already about the registry. It just describes what it is and how it was put together. And Dr. Pignola and the medical advisors that work with the registry, they're also working on putting together another publication that will describe what the baseline picture of people with FOP, what does that look like? So as Adam was saying and Dr. Grunwald, getting information out, it not only helps you, but it helps other people that learn about it and come into the FOP arena managing patients. So we want the data in the registry used. In addition to that kind of just what is the registry manuscript and the baseline characteristics, we have 2 other researchers that have requested data from the registry, and those publications will be coming out probably in the next year or so. So that's 4 publications out of the registry. So, you know, really helping other people understand what this registry is all about. You may have seen, we're putting out annual reports from the registry, so it gives back to you what are we learning. So we'll continue to do that. So with this past year's report, it showed, as you guys sadly well know, sometimes it takes a long time to get diagnosed, and who's usually making those diagnoses. But we're learning other things too with data from the registry, and we'll continue to share that with you. So this is just showing what other types of conditions that patients in the registry have told us about. So some of the physicians will take a closer look at that. And what that helps with is when you go for your visit to your physician, after they see this information, they know what questions to ask, to say, okay, tell me about this. Because sometimes you don't think to say, oh yeah, you know, my stomach's really been bothering me. But if this is a common condition, they can really kind of dial into that and ask about it and help you with that. This is a little bit of a snapshot of where we've come since the registry started in July 2015. So this is when enrollment opened up, and here we are today as of the early November. We have a little over 300 patients. This other line is showing you that there are participants representing 53 countries. So I think that's a great number. What we want to improve upon though is getting, if I showed you the number of who's active, it's down here. So we're doing a great job of getting into the registry. What's not going so well is getting that follow-up survey done. So, how frequently do you expect people to cycle back? So the follow-ups are requested every 6 months, and you'll get reminders. And I'm jumping ahead, but it's good to ask the questions and deal with them in real time. So reminders go out, and we are doing some updates to the database. Currently, you get 3 reminders. We're going to go up and we're going to give you smiley face reminders, and you'll probably get a sad face when that 5th reminder goes out to say, come on, you only have 2 days to finish the survey. So there's 30 days. The enrollment, when you start, you can take as much time as you need. Chip away at it, and then once you finish that, that starts the clock. So in 6 months, you'll get the reminders to say your new survey is going to be coming. So you have a 30-day window. You'll get weekly reminders. And also in the new year with the updated platform, we've had a lot of people say, you know, I couldn't get to it. I had a busy month. You know, it's Thanksgiving, it's Christmas. We got other stuff to do. So you will have the ability, if the window of 30 days closes, to go in and fill that out as time allows. And it'll be broken into sections, because that's another thing that we heard. It's like, geez, you know, it's page after page after page. I don't know when I'm done and how much time to allow. This way you can go in and maybe say, I'll do this questionnaire today. And maybe tomorrow or next week I can chip away at that. So we are making that option available to you. So if you miss the 30 days, just get back and do what you can. And again, once it's on your phone app, you know, while you're sitting there at appointments and waiting, hopefully that might be a good time to do those updates. Probably like a half hour or so. Yep. So I wanted to take a minute to, I think sometimes it's hard for people to understand what is a registry. And there's also a directory. So I wanted to just kind of highlight what's the difference. So let's start with the directory. So the directory is, I think the most important thing to point out is it's a one-time thing. The IFOPA sponsors that. You go in to put you or your family's name and your contact information if you want to be identified and connect with other people in the community. So maybe you have a, you know, you want to team your teenager student up with another kid of the same age, just to kind of have a little pal and they can share their experiences. That's the idea with this directory, so that you're in there, your name is shared. It's just for you as a community to connect. And then the registry is, you know, it's global, but it's an ongoing. And it's starting before treatments are available, and it will continue after treatment's available. So the natural history study that the Clementia team talked about, I'm glad you asked that, because I think people get mixed up with that too. Yes. So that was a 2 to 3 year study that Clementia organized and had patients fill out surveys and provide. So that's different, and that's wrapping up, and that's Clementia's, and they're going to be sharing that data. That data will come into the registry, but that's totally separate. However, the registry is looking at natural history as well. So your confusion is well-based, but it's, the registry will look at natural history, but Clementia's natural history study was a separate effort that is wrapping up. And that's gonna, that data will come into the registry, and we'll continue collecting data on those patients that were part of that. Yes, yep. And researchers can access that information. Sure. How do we extract that? So we have a statistician that will go in and pull, you know, let's say you have a question, how many patients have this other condition that are in this age group? And, you know, that's a way for physicians that are managing a patient with FOP to find out, is this just unique to my particular patient, or is this maybe something else that we're seeing in people with FOP? So that information is pulled out, and like I said, we have a couple researchers, they'll be publishing that. They were looking at some of the outcomes of, based on how the patients were answering their survey on pain, how are they saying their mental health is? And, you know, what's that impact on what they feel like they can do day to day? So those are important things, like we heard about the depression, and that, you know, these aren't really isolated things. This is a big factor in the FOP community. There you go.
This is not directly related to the registry, but one thing that I've noticed, there's a lot of, if you have a good story and a good cause and you have a face on it and you're raising funds, people will give. They want to be part of something and
Mhm.
they want to give. But one of the things we're running into is there's a lot of fraud in GoFundMe accounts and
Yes.
things like that. And is the registry taking any role in securing those type of things? So I can say, look on the registry, Jordine is there. She's on the registry. We are who we say we are, and so on and so
Yeah,
forth.
I think, directing people to the website, the IFOPA website, that, this is a legitimate group. And here's the physicians, the scientific oversight, the medical oversight. I think that helps reassure. But yeah, there's
But we don't
sadly-
have individual identifiers on the registry, obviously, right? So
Right,
it would just be in a global sense that we're raising for this organization.
right.
They would be able to verify, yeah, and yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, good. That's helpful. Thanks.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And did I help you understand the difference between the natural history study and the registry? Okay. That data will come into the registry. So that was data on 114 patients that will come into the registry, and then we'll continue having those patients put their data in the registry, because that was a 24 to 36 months, depending on when the patients left the natural history study. So this is rolling on. Okay, so hopefully that helped clarify. So this is just going to show you what the pages look like to get enrolled. I'm not going to go into detail, but sometimes, the way I learn, I like to see things. It helps me kind of say, oh, okay, I know what to expect, and this is what I need to do. This is showing you at registration, you got a few more boxes you got to get through. So there's informed consent, which is obviously very important. You need to say yes, you or your family member wants to be in this. It's going to one-time collect, tell me about, I'm a female of this age, and how was I diagnosed, when did my symptoms start. So that's a one-time thing. And then all these other things are what are going to be asked, not only at enrollment, but each of the follow-up. So have you, like Dr. Grunwald was saying, have you had any surgery since you last did an update in the registry? Tell us about that. And just a little side note, we were talking with Dr. Grunwald, and he's like, I really want to find out how the patients are doing after they had the surgery. So we're going to work together through the registry and send out to the patients that he says had these surgical procedures, and he's going to ask you a few more questions. And again, so important, and this is information that's going to be shared across the world. So I hope if this applies to you and you get that follow-up survey about how you're faring after your surgery, that you'll provide that information to us. So, sure.
There's been a number of the quality of life questionnaires. There have been a number of discussions of different tools and things like that. Are those validated?
One of the three is, and it's called the Promise Global Health. And it asks questions about kind of like how you're feeling, and, are you feeling well enough? Are you socializing with your family and friends? So that is a validated instrument. With the PFQ, that was developed basically with this community. And the physician experts have validated that with the numbers. And then the third piece that you may have heard discussed is about what aids and devices and assistive things that you use. So that's, those are the three questionnaire parts. And then it also will ask about the FOP, the flare-ups that you're having, new bone growth, things like that. So here's, when you log in to FOPregistry.org, this is what you're going to see. Pretty green and blue welcome sheet. We do have it translated, so folks prefer to do it in Spanish can select that or whatever language they prefer, and then from then on, it will, when it opens, it'll be in that language. So you put your identifying information in, contact information. There's this little kind of scoreboard up there so you can see where you are, but we're going to try to get a few more little doodads in there just so you're like, am I almost there, or how much more to go? So we're going to try to add a few more features like that to help you out and know how you can budget your time. They ask for an alternate contact too. And again, this is only for the folks behind the scenes, so that if there is some need to get in touch with you, or like I said, with want to work with Dr. Grunwald, we'll do it on an anonymous basis, but through the registry we can set it out and you can say yes or no. So we do ask for a backup contact. Let's see, and that's where that is. And here you're seeing, okay, you've made it, and we also want to confirm that people coming into the registry, in fact, do have the disease. You know, it's important to have quality checks that we don't have, you know, as this gentleman pointed out, there's some not so nice people out there, and we don't want a bunch of non-FOP folks participating in the database. So we do ask if you have, say, a clinical report, or if you had the diagnosis by genetic test, if you have a copy of that, or you can upload it, or just tell us who your contact is in the FOP community. So it's pretty basic, but it's an important quality check to make sure that we have the right people in. Okay, so that's a little bit more on the confirmation. And then these are some of the questions about who is providing your care, who made your diagnosis, that type of thing. The password. We hate keeping track of all those passwords, but it's really important, because we just did a little cleaning exercise and booted out 23 people who were duplicates. So it's hard to keep track of that, but think about writing it down in a central place. And with the new version that's coming out in the new year, if you forget your password, there's going to be a link, and you click on it just like anything else with some of the places that you go. There's a link. You don't have to do a separate email, so you can reset, because better to reset than have to have 3 accounts for you. What else here? That's about the informed consent. We do have an IRB that reviews this, and it's the ethics committee, kind of like when you participate in a clinical trial. You have to have its oversight to make sure that you're being protected, and we're telling you how your information is going to be used and that type of thing. So we do need you to provide that agreement. This is a question in the database. If you were participating in the Clementia Natural History Study, we need your permission so that data can come into the registry. So there is a question at the beginning. In the new version of the registry, when you go back in the new year, this question, if you haven't had a chance to answer it, is going to stay there until you have the opportunity to say either, yes, you can share my data, no, thanks, I'd rather it not go in, or no, I didn't participate in that. So we're going to keep that kind of at the beginning screen, so because it is important, we'd like to have as much of that natural history study come into the registry. So if you would please take a moment and answer that question, so we know how to proceed with your data. Okay, so that's, after you put your basic information in, it's going to say you're confirmed and you've got your password set, and you can continue filling in the questionnaires and provide your other information. Michelle was kind enough to do the test run and take some screenshots, so you see your name up here when she did her enrollment. And then this is the prompt showing you about the surveys and reminders. You've got new surveys coming. Just a reminder that you will get this every 6 months. There's 4 reminders for the enrollment, so it'll ping you, I think, every few months to say, okay, can you come back and fill this out? And then, like I said, we currently have 3 reminders for the follow-up, but we'll do 5. So, and those will come to you when the mobile app is available, both by email and in your text. A couple things, you know, going back and trying to remember things, I think sometimes is a little overwhelming. Think about, like, how old were you? You know, was it when you were 10, when you were 15? Give us that best year. You know, if you were 10 or whatever, give us that year, but don't stress about the month and the day. You know, close enough. But it is important to put something in there, even if you're not sure, well, I think I was 10. That's really helpful. And then we ask you what type of FOP you have, if you happen to know it. Okay, so this is just pointing out that if the person with FOP isn't really capable of doing it herself or time constraints, you know, you can work on it together. The family can help put that information in. And then that's again, just the reminder where you can click the link if you need to, if you're not sure if you're registered or forgot about your password. Okay, I think we covered most of this. Just timelines again. So the mobile app will come to the iPhones first, and then the Android devices. And as part of the mobile app, the Flare Diary will be in there. So you can fill that out by your phone. So again, being able to take it with you, I'm hoping makes it a little less onerous and you can kind of chip away at it. So I wanted to show you how the participation's going in a few of the regions. So Mexico, we had, I think, maybe a couple families from Mexico here. They have 4 people that have enrolled, and 3 of the 4 have completed their enrollment, and 1 of the 3 that are eligible to complete the first 6-month survey have done that. So this is a common thing. It's like, oop, I'm in, and then it's like, psh. So we're going to try to think of ways to stay in touch with you, to make it friendly reminders, because the follow-up data is really going to be so important to us. Canada, they have 11 folks in, and 7 of those 11 completed their enrollment surveys. They got through all those sections, and this is just showing you where they are over time. So we got, looks like 4 people have really been troopers and filling out those 6-month surveys as they come along. So that's terrific, but we want to get those, give a little tickle to those other 7 and get them moving. In the United States, we have 121 patients, 69 completed, and you can see the numbers drop off a little bit. It looks like we've got around 20 or so that are filling out their 6-month survey. So again, hopefully when we're back together next year, we can see those numbers looking a little stronger. So thank you. That was my quick update. Again, I cannot tell you how powerful these registries are. So I hope you'll each think about participating. We're trying to add some flexibility. We really want to get the data out. There's no point in capturing all this data if you don't use it. But I think between the medical expert advisors, Dr. Kaplan and Pignola, we'll be looking at that data. We want to get it back to you with reports. I want to point out too, in addition to the patient side of the registry that I've been talking about, we're implementing a medical portal too. So your physician can enter data about you too. And it'll be in addition to what, so sometimes you go in, you're going to have, you know, the EKG, or maybe you're having pulmonary function studies. So we have it's a very comprehensive database on the medical side. So we wanted to do that so whatever evaluations your doctor's doing, we can put that data in, and we can look at that. So your physician may send you an email and invite you to join, and that's a separate consent because your additional information's coming in, and we hope you'll consider. And maybe it goes the other way. Maybe you tell your physician to say, I'm in the registry and I'd really like you to participate and put that other data in that when I come and see you, we can get laboratory stuff, we can get a list of what medications you're taking. So that all helps put the pieces together. And next year, if you're coming back and doing your enrollment, you'll have to reconsent in the new portal because it's a new platform, it's slightly different. So just know to expect that. In addition, there'll be a separate question to say, is it okay to link your information that you're providing on this side to what your doctor puts in if the doctor chooses to participate? So it's your choice. You can decide. And if you want that link set up, then you'll have a separate checkbox to do that. So if your physician isn't participating, we would encourage you to ask them to do so, and we'll provide training to them. And that way we have a more comprehensive picture of all that's going on with you. So I hope that's given a little clarification about what the registry is, and that you'll participate.
That medical for the doctor, that part's not ready yet, right?
That's right. It will be ready later this month, but there's steps. So while we might have the database ready to go in December, each of the institutions has to have approval from their ethics committee to because it's your medical information that's coming in.
Okay, so we'll get notification?
Yes.
Okay.
So we are putting it through a central IRB. So in the United States, I'm hopeful that that can go a little more quickly, and that the physicians here in the United States and Canada even can use that central approval. So the other countries and some of the other regions may be slower to come on because of that process that's needed.
Thank you.
Yep.
And to clarify, Marianne, it's your FOP physician, right, or your personal physician? Like if you have a physician in your hometown, is the medical portal for your FOP physician?
Well, it can be both.
Okay.
Because I've been learning how medical care goes with this community, and sometimes there's a lot of texting and emailing, and say Dr. Kaplan might have part of your information, but then you go home to Pittsburgh, and your doctor there is, maybe writing the prescriptions for you, and that's the person that, maybe is doing the immunizations for your child. That information is really important too. So we can link Dr. Kaplan with your local physician if they both give permission, so that Dr. Kaplan can do an update on what part of the care he's provided, and your Pittsburgh doctor can say, okay, well, I did these vaccines and I've given these medications and we did a couple tests, so here's the pulmonary function studies or the audiology exam. So we do have the ability to give both physicians access to updating that file.
Okay. Any other questions?
Hi guys. So all this work that Marianne presented was really supported by the IFOPA initially, but adding things like the medical portal, the app, and also the Flare diary costs a lot of money. It's in the millions of dollars to actually run this registry. So we went out and got support sponsorship from Blueprint, Regeneron, and Clementia to help sustain this, because we can't sustain something this large of an initiative. So we just want to acknowledge the great contributions from our corporate sponsors. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
Yeah, and you had a question.
Yeah, so if I could just suggest like renaming it so it's a little bit clearer, like FOP Data Registry and FOP Social Registry, because I've heard the names banter back and forth, and
Okay.
and if I was asked out of context which one was which,
Yeah.
I would have to look. So
Okay.
anyhow,
That's
You mean
good.
between which and which? Mm-hmm. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, because right now we're calling it the patient directory. That's how you connect with each other. Okay, interesting.
We have to get the data part in there, it sounds like.
Right. Okay.
Okay, thank
Good
you for that.
feedback. Oh, yeah. One more question over here.
It's kind of two questions. The first one is, what's the downfall to have the FOP patients register? I mean, obviously, there's more than 121 in the world. Why is there, only such a low fraction, and it's been out, since 2015? So what can maybe you do to help let the FOP community understand that it's important for them to join?
Right.
And the second question is, Josh, Stacy's mother, is a part of it, but she was unaware that there was an updated phase. So she probably received the emails, but it wasn't communicated enough to say, hey, come in, update required. Yeah, like the labeling on the subject was probably just like she thought along the lines of yeah, I'm done with it. It's probably just some information, but not that she needed to go back into it again.
That's really helpful to hear. Again, that's partly why we put this brochure together. And, just coming to these family meetings and talking to you about the registry versus what's the directory and what's the natural history study, because it's very confusing. So, yeah, I am going to take that back and work with the team and think about, because we do have your contact information. I'm a big fan of putting it right in the subject line, because I don't like to read any more email than I have to if I can read 2 sentences and know what you want. And maybe we can do something like that. It's just it's like, look, I need you to read this because we want you to come back to the registry and share your data. And here's what you need to do, boom, boom, boom. And if you're not sure, send us an email, MIN. We get that all the time. So yeah, why aren't more people in? I think they probably think they're in, because maybe they're in the natural history study, they're in the directory. So I think there's a lot of confusion, and I hope I can help clear that up and communicate to a point that next year when you see me, it's like, Mary Ann, if I get another email from you, I'm going to pinch you. So that's my goal, is to come on, get back here.
I think the suggestion that you had about making the names more differentiated, it would be really helpful.
Okay.
I think one of the reasons that more people might not be haven't done this particular one yet is if you are in a clinical trial, you're told you can't do the natural history study. So then these studies come out and they're the same thing. They sound the same.
Right.
You don't really know what the difference is. You
Right.
think you can't do it, right? So there's
So I think we need to put some information out. We need to have a table,
Yep.
here's what the directory is, here's what the natural history was, and here's what the FOP data registry is all about. And and then give us
Thank you.
feedback to say, that's still not quite enough. I'm still a little bit confused. So help us with that.
One other thing I'll just say is, we as staff can ask and send out emails. One of the most powerful things we've seen is that when you do something and you post about it on social media, other people do it. We were telling people, hey, the patient directory where you can communicate with each other is live. Sign up, sign up, sign up. We were getting a few signups. Nancy Sando went on support for FOP and said, hey, we should do it. We had 20 in one day. So that's the kind of thing I think that helps, is if you're doing it, say, hey, I just did my registry. It was super easy. Do yours too.
That was going to be my point exactly. It's like you think like me. Right. I think that IFOPA has amazing staff, and they all do what they need to do and execute their jobs incredibly well. But the IFOPA has created this resource, but now it's the families' jobs to actually, we need to communicate as a community and as families and go out. And, there's there's privacy sharing. The IFOPA can't tell us who's in and who's out. So we just need to, as a community, reach everybody. And if we create a committee of people that go in and pull Facebook friends and say, I'm going to email or message 10 of them in the next month, that's the kind of campaign that we need to put together to make this work.
So next year, when we're in Orlando, and I say how many are in the registry, I hope I look out and see a sea of hands. And it's like, and what is the registry? Well, it's where our data goes. It's not the natural history study. It's its own little database. So
No, that's great.
yeah, let's. These are all great suggestions. Thank you for that. So we'll work to get that clarified.
Yep, awesome. Okay, thank you so
All
much,
right.
Marianne.
Yeah, thank you.
We're glad that you're part of the team getting all this work done on the registry.